Hey guys, and welcome to an epic clash. I'm a rubber duck of war leading the mighty forces of Grand Cathay once more into the breach on Galleon's Cove up against Mr. Logic_EU, and he is blood for the blood god, bringing the forces of Khorne with a pretty damn elite starting army. I've gone a little bit more wider, gone some halberds, some crossbowmen. My opponent though is like, no, screw all of that. I want all the heroes, all the big monsters, all the scary stuff laid out in the beginning. Two very different style of tactics. We'll have to see how it does indeed perform, and we're one of the few people not bringing Miao Ying. I mean, Miao Ying is very powerful. I bring on a load of matchups, so I was trying out a bit of a different lord today. And we do have the dragon-blooded lord up in the skies there, if I can get my words out. It is a Yang caster as well. Can do some pretty decent stuff all around. Looks very cool up on their flying mount. Coming in with the scales of the Celestial Court, giving that stride and 75% physical resistance, can certainly be quite nice. And just the two spells today, going relatively cheap with my lord. We have the Jade Shield, gives a 44% damage resistance. It's actually really quite nice and combines quite good with the cavalry I have found of Grand Cathay. And we have the Constellation of the Dragon. This is the big boom attack, a comet coming down from the skies to crash into enemy with the rage of 1,000 dragons. It certainly does a bucket ton of damage. Now, down on the ground, we've got quite a big infantry corps. We have peasant long spearmen making up the front guard there, backed up by some Jade warriors and a load of crossbowmen. We have 2 units of Jade warrior crossbows, and in the middle, we have the Celestial Dragon crossbows and the Celestial Dragon halberd units looking freaking awesome. I must admit, I love the Celestial Dragon units in general. Not only do they look really cool, they hit incredibly hard. Now, the Celestial Dragon guard coming in with that yin and yang bonus will be getting 55 melee defense, which is honestly quite ridiculous. We have some Jade Lancers in here as well. I think Jade Lancers is going to be very crucial. They're anti-infantry, or being good against anti-infantry, I should say. As a lot of people commented before that a lot of these cavalry units have anti-infantry in their tooltip. It does not mean they have the bonus versus infantry, but they are very good against infantry. We have Jade Lancers who are going to be crucial to taking out nasty doggos and taking out the enemy foot troops. Now, for my opponent, he doesn't have that many foot troops, at least on spawn. At least it doesn't seem that way, but there's a few sneaky traps my opponent has set for me. So we have double Soul Grinder of Khorne now. The Khorne Soul Grinders look freaking awesome. I like the kind of different designs of all the Soul Grinders for the different factions. These ones are anti-infantry melee combatants, looking particularly angry, as you'd expect coming in from Khorne. We do have a Herald of Khorne as well, cheap lord here, coming in on a pretty cool mount though, coming in on his Skull Crusher. He's going to be bringing up the Locus of Wrath, giving that extra 40 melee attack, and I think that's it from him today. No more items, so going relatively cheap. And we have double Cultist of Khorne. Now, the reason Cultists have been so popular is they have an item which allows them to summon units onto the field. So we have 2 of these guys, both with the Gate of Khorne, allowing them to summon 1 unit of Bloodletters onto the battlefield. So it feels like there's no infantry for my opponent, no staying power to capture objectives. That's actually wrong, because we have the 2 summons who can also be summoned onto us and dish out the pain pretty hardcore. So on the left-hand side, my opponent has immediately bomb rushed some cavalry, or some Chaos Warhounds, into the trees. And I've spotted this, so I know they're there, even if they're pretending to hide, looking to kind of put a bit of pressure onto that capture point. The rest of his army is sitting back at the moment as more hounds are summoned to move up to objective point number 1. Now, we're making a nice little formation in the center, looking to try to dominate this middle portion, but also push up towards my opponent's deployment zone. If we get a good initial engagement, I'm able to shut the enemy down. I don't think I've summoned too much so far to the battle myself. I'm actually trying to save up a bit of money, maybe get a Terracotta Sentinel on the field, and there we go. We do bring forth one of the creatures of destruction from the warp to come fight for us. The Terracotta Sentinel is bounding towards the enemy, going to do a bucket ton of damage, particularly up against hounds. Should be able to contest that capture point relatively successfully. So we have lined up nice and neatly here. We have our spearmen in the front, backed up by the more elite warriors, and all our crossbowmen. I'm kind of waiting. There's this awkward stalemate at the moment between us two. My opponent doesn't really want to engage too much. He knows it's a pretty deadly core. And also, you know, wants to put pressure on point 1 and 3. The problem is for him on number 3, Chaos Warhounds as well as the Flesh Hounds aren't going to do that good up against Terracotta Sentinel. They will be able to cap the objective against him if both of them are alive, but that's a big if. The Terracotta Sentinel obviously packs a relatively decent wallop. The main engagement is underway, and in come the Soul Grinders, slashing down hard with their flaming swords into the brave peasants who are desperately trying to pin the enemy in place. We also have Jade Lancers coming piling in, trying to surround the Soul Grinders and buy time for the Celestial Dragon crossbowmen, as well as our Jade Warrior crossbowmen to bring the pain. And look how much burst damage we can do on the Soul Grinder here, coming in with all our crossbow shots. It is really, really scary stuff. We even pop down the Jade Shield, go down on our Horsemen, trying to ensnare these pesky Soul Grinders, but they continue to push through, though this one is starting to waver. We also get a Bloodletter summon on the field, going to very quickly shut down our Jade Warriors. That is a horrifying sight, just the portals to hell open in front of you, and out come screeching demons, hacking and slicing their way through many crossbowmen. Middle fight is a little bit sketchy at the moment. The Celestial Dragon Guard doing a decent job, though. They are starting to surround the second Soul Grinder. The first one has been well and truly forced back. It is also starting to crumble, although my position is really getting succumbed to. And a nice summon by my opponent, the Flesh Hounds, who initially went towards Objective 3, whipped around the side here, and jumped on my crossbowmen. So the middle fight with those two summons has gone particularly messy for us, though we did manage to do a decent amount of damage in the Royal Celestial Dragon Guard as well. Doing a decent job against the Soul Grinder. We also have our Jade Lancer here and Jade Warriors, so it's still a bit of a scrap, and it looks like we have actually been able to claim objective number 2. Objective number 1 is just about to be claimed by my opponents, but we also have objective number 3, which is good days to me. Terracotta Sentinel and some Peasant Long Spearmen were summoned over to support him and help out the big construct there. Looks like we are starting to lose the center just about as the Herald of Khorne whips his troops into a frenzy. Though it looks like the Bloodletters are starting to dissipate. They are a summon, so of course they will not be on the field forever. And that's given us a nice bit of staying power here in the middle with our Jade Warriors as well as the Halberds there. Now the second Soul Grinder is taking quite a beating. The first one's doing okay, though. It's got a decent amount of HP still. We still, however, have the Dragon Guard in there, and a nice little rally as well of the Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen and Jade Warrior Crossbowmen. Should be able to whittle down at least that one Soul Grinder, though we are now exposing our back of our formation to the enemy Khorne base. We are moving up to Objective 1, trying to contest. Jade Lancers will be able to rinse out Chaos Warhounds pretty damn effectively, getting in here with our mighty Spears and Lancers. And yeah, Chaos Warhounds, they're going to do basically nothing. Their bark is very much bigger than their bite, though. A nice little surround by the Flesh Hounds. A corner could turn that around. Lovely micro by my opponent. Going to circle the Jade Lancers, stalk them, and rip those riders from their horses and down into the dirt from whence they came. The Jade Warrior Crossbowmen are rallied again, once again with the Dragon Crossbowmen. Just piling on shots. I'm really trying to finish off this Soul Grind. It's been very, very pesky to deal with. Celestial Dragon Guard are hoping to hold that middle portion as well. Objective number 3 is going really solid for us, but that is about to change. My opponent spots that I have the Terracotta Sentinel, who is trying to embolden the Peasant Long Spearman here, and it's going to start bomb rushing forward into, however, double halberds. Apologies about the clipping, there's a little bit of bug at the moment on Grand Cathay with their graphics. The Chaos Warriors of Khorne halberds are surrounding the mighty beastie, but, you know, he's going to take quite considerable damage of that, and isn't going to be a big fan, so how am I going to counteract this? I do not have the healing of Miao Ying to come in and support. It matters not, for we have the wrath of 1,000 dragons, and in comes our big shot down. Look at the animation. Fire erupts as if they were fighting upon a volcano, and that's when the Peasant Long Spearmen also charge in to help support. Terracotta Sentinel getting buffed with the Jade Shield is going to back out there a little bit, so that fight not going too bad. Middle fight, we do look spent. Now, the crossbowmen rallying towards the enemy deployment zone was a bit of a pro and a con. We got to fire in a little bit more, but now one unit of Flesh Hounds is able to take out 2 units, and all we have left in the middle is the Dragon Guard. They are silver chevrons and doing a pretty decent job, up to 37 kills, fighting some really elite units all day long, but they are, alas, finally broken. So I do summon a second Terracotta Sentinel, looking to push Objective 1, which has so far been held in place by my opponent and all of his hounds, up against our Jade Lancers, who are relatively durable and decent against these units, but are struggling simply because my opponent is overwhelming it with so many units to actually capture it. Up on the high ground, this is such a fun mechanic. So one of the reasons this is probably my favorite map, not only is it awesome, you can see the boats in the distance and this giant lovely skeleton, but there's these little raised platforms. Both deployment zones have one, and you can place artillery up here, weapon teams up here, and it has perfect vision of the middle and also contested vision up into number 1. And you can see we have summoned the Crane Gunners. They have really decent AP. Plus, let's actually delve fully into it there. They have Shield Breaker, negative 24 missile block chance, and if we go over, 30 armor piercing. That is so much damage, and as you can see, I pop them up here onto the high ground, and they're covering almost all the way in to like about halfway into objective number 2 there, starting to light the Khorne forces on fire where possible. So at the moment, let's take stock. We are ahead at the moment on tickets. We do currently only own one of the 3 points, however. Another big boom attack going to be coming down by the glorious dragon-blooded lord, trying to support the Terracotta Sentinel, and it does look like those halberds may well get dealt with. Though we are starting to lose this objective as well, and my opponent might be able to triple cap hit me here, which would be quite a big disaster. I'm not floating that many resources to get back into it, and even more halberds are being spawned to help deal with the mighty Terracotta, and I only have peasant long spearmen on the way, so things are starting to look a little bit bleak here. The Celestial Dragon crossbowmen have managed to rally, which is a bit of a boon. I am also starting to capture objective number 1 with peasant horsemen swarming in to try to take out the flesh hounds of Khorne, who do count as cavalry, so the Terracotta Sentinel doing a decent job capping against them. And we are able to surround them and hopefully drag them down, but it's quite close, this objective, to my opponent's deployment, and he's going to be wanting to force more and more troops up into the gullet. And you can see once again now the flesh hounds are well and truly in here to the actual capture point. They've stopped us capturing it, at least for now. There's also more flesh hounds of Khorne moving in that way, though they are being picked apart at the moment by the deft accuracy of the crane gunners, just whittling shots down, whizzing them in to the flanks of the flesh hounds, and yeah, their little armor isn't going to save them too much. I summoned some rather chevrilled up Jade warriors, as well as some peasant horsemen moving around to the left-hand side, and we are barely clinging on to the only objective we currently have, and it is disaster, because even more Chaos Warriors of Khorne halberds are starting to move in. Now, I do have some peasant horsemen. Hopefully getting here a big charge will be enough to break the Chaos Warriors and make them crumble. That's kind of my main plan right now. You can see this unit is terrified and running to try and save its own skin. Though the Horn of Khorne has gone down, Terracotta Sentinel looks like it's going to be able to hold this objective. With the added boon of the Horsemen and Peasant Long Spearmen, I'm just about clinging on, at least for now. Elsewhere on the battlefield, I've completely given up on Objective 2. I'm just going guns-ho for Objective 3 right now. And those glorious crane gunners are whittling shots down at the mighty Herald of Khorne, who's being pinned in place right now by some Peasant Long Spearmen, as Jade Warriors in the background do start to push up. And the crane gunners are a little obstructed at the moment, unfortunately, because of the rocky terrain. He's actually kind of covered, hunkered down underneath, but as soon as he starts moving back, I will be able to do some pretty decent long-range armor-piercing damage to him. We have managed to now secure objective number 1, which is fantastic news for me. Terracotta Sentinel has been an absolute standout in this battle so far, as they often are. We're summoning some more Jade Warriors down here on the left, trying to go over to claim objective 3, and for once in a very long time, we actually have 2 objectives over the one of my opponent. And the Peasant Long Spearman alongside my lord, who's had to dive down into combat, not when you want him, plus the Terracotta Sentinel, is currently just about holding this objective, but in comes even more Flesh Hounds of Khorne to try to contest where possible. And once again, we're going to do another big hit coming in from the skies. Just bam! That's such a quick animation, destroying halberds left, right, and center. Oh, there's so much death! So much death! I think one of those was also the actual Khorne faction ability there, coming in to try to wipe out the Peasant Longspears, and we are once again starting to lose objective number 3. Objective 1, though, is looking pretty secure in my eyes, because I have Jade Warriors coming up in here to help protect. There's some Chaos Warriors halberds trying to deal with the Terracotta Sentinel, but it is very healthy at the moment. Celestial Dragon crossbowmen are firing in, and the Crane Gunners on the right-hand side, look how much damage they've done to the Herald of Khorne, forcing it further and further astray from the main fight. Some Chaos Warhounds are able to nip around the corner and whip away from the Crane Gunners, who have been quite fantastic so far, and just to see how much damage value they get during the course of the game. Objective number 3 is just clinging on. Oh my god, that is the closest I've seen an objective. You can not see any green whatsoever, and it looks like, bam, there it goes. Khorne have claimed my objective, just as Jade Lancers as well as Jade Warriors do kind of flood in, so just a tiny second too late there. There's also Warhounds in hot pursuit on us, but we got the Jade Warriors into the zone, and we are starting to recapture Objective 3 nice and quickly here. Terracotta Sentinel certainly needs some help there. The halberds doing some really nasty damage. In the center, my opponent still dominates, though every time he does kind of push out of it, I'm just constantly beaming him with as many shots as possible to make it as painful as physically possible to rotate from Objective 2 up to Objective 1, which is currently still in our hand. Jade Warriors engaging with the halberds is going to be a good engagement for me, particularly when supported by the Terracotta Sentinel. Soul Grinder moving into hand-to-hand combat to try to deal with us. It looks like the Herald of Khorne is, bouncing around. He's up to no good. He's still taking considerable damage at the moment. More shots are starting to be poured in, but he does live kind of hiding behind the Soul Grinder where possible. And I've got so many juicy targets to shoot. I'm kind of bouncing between them, I believe, here. As Jade Lancer's pushing up towards Objective 1, and we are in the lead now. Tickets-wise, my opponent really needs to claim one of these side objectives off me as quickly as possible. I'm just like, I don't care about Objective 1. I'm just going for the side ones. I don't want to fight Khorne in a head-on fight. Flesh Hands of Khorne getting dragged down by the Jade Lancers. I really do love Jade Lancers in this matchup. I think they are very pivotal. Terracotta Sentinel is just vibing, hiding in some trees at the moment. We have claimed this objective back from our enemy, arrested it off them, with the Jade Warriors looking quite stern. I think chevroned up Jade Warriors are going to be very good objective holders in general. Objective 1 and 3 still both of mine. The Herald of Khorne does pop the Locus of Wrath, trying to imbue the Soul Grinder with added melee attack to tear through the Jade Lancers as he moves up to take on the Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen, who have been around since the start of the game. I have not re-summoned these guys in. They've just been tanking all day long, done some pretty decent damage. That looks like they are about to be spent. Terracotta Sentinel could well go down here, and that could cause me some big problems. The Soul Grinder, it is anti-infantry, but it's armor-piercing. It does a load of damage. It's definitely designed to kill infantry rather than large, but hey, this is, it's just a large infantry troop if you think about it in one way, and I'm sure that's going to embolden him with some big animations, so hard hitting it breaks the graphics there on the mighty Terracotta Sentinel, who is getting a little bit danger low HP wise. The second Soul Grinder is taking considerable damage now, once again being shot in the back from the Crane Gunners up on their high ground. We have Peasant Long Spearmen, as well as, I think, is that just 2 units of Peasant Long Spearmen? It is indeed. No, it's 1 and 1 Jade Warriors, my mistake there. Moving towards Objective 2, just trying to claim it as quickly as possible. As tickets-wise, I am still ahead by a considerable margin. If I can just constantly apply pressure to all 3 points, my opponent stands no chance. Terracotta Sentinel barely clinging on to life, still holding Objective 3, and that is very secure for me at the moment. It's the other 2 sections I'm a little bit more worried about. With all our infantry pouring in, we also have a couple of horsemen coming in. Was about to dive in and help claim objective number 2, and we do just about cling on. You can see this objective at the top was about to go into the hands of my opponent. Terracotta Sentinel is down in the dust, not having his best day, but he did a good job. He was a good guard dog, and unfortunately, he, all good guard dogs do go to heaven, I suppose, so we'll see him at some point in the future, no doubt. And those Terracotta Sentinels held the line so well. Well played to my opponent, Logic, fantastic YouTuber himself. Feel free to go check him out at Logic_EU. He does have access to Warhammer 3, obviously, as you can see. I believe he's going to be starting dropping Warhammer 3 content on Thursday. We'll probably do a load of live streams together as well. Really awesome dude, so make sure to go check him out for more glorious content into the future. Really awesome play. Honestly, I quite enjoyed the Celestial Dragon Guard in general. You can see 960 and 1,100 damage value on them. It's also quite fun mixing up, bringing the Dragon-Blooded Lord. It's always quite a mouthful to say that one for some reason, but they did really decent all round. Honestly, 62 kills helped counter halberds, and they really synergized quite nicely with the rest of the build. More importantly, though, the Crane Gunners just shy of 2,000 damage value. They hadn't even used up all their ammunition. Was summoned in the midpoint of the game and still got that much work done. I think they're quite a niche unit. They're hard to protect, very squishy, but if you can protect them or get them on a high vantage point away from the main fighting like that, and your opponent doesn't have any swift flies, they can really bring the hurt. And I actually think putting cannons up on these raised platforms on this map might be huge, because the cannons have even better range and can just really dominate the middle objective and help contest the higher one, so there is a bit of shot blocking that goes into that as well. I will delve into the kills, damage dealt, damage value, all that juicy stuff in just a momento. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up, subscribe as well for more Total War Warhammer content into the future, and comment down below what you thought of the battle. And yeah, I really appreciate all the support so far. It's been fantastic doing this early access stuff. Been really enjoying it and can't wait to showcase more. I'm probably going to do a stream tomorrow. I'm going to try and maybe do a tournament stream tomorrow, and then it's going to be videos all the other days, and from Thursday onwards, it's going to get pretty crazy, guys. There's probably going to be most likely a stream a day, as well as a video day, but the streams may well be on Twitch, so definitely go check out my description down below for Twitch, Patreon, Discord, all that good stuff if you want to keep up. Anyway, back to the battle. So for our forces, our starting army, it did okay. Trying to contest the middle against Khorne with Cathay is really quite a challenge, but we did give it a go. 62 kills, 1,100 damage on the Dragon-Blooded Lord, not too shabby. 964 gold value there on the Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen. Celestial Dragon Guard held for an age. They were so good, 1.2k value on them pretty much. The Jade Lancers I like in this matchup a lot. As I said before, I think they deal with Flesh Hounds as well as the normal Hounds relatively effectively. 875 gold value on them with 78 kills. Crossbowmen, 300 value and 460 value. Not doing it too well. Neither did the infantry, unfortunately. Terracotta Sentinels didn't get much value whatsoever today, actually. Nowhere near paying for themselves. 670 and 550 value, but they hold, and that was the important thing to claim those objectives. 81 and 48 kills apiece. We never got the Longmire Riders into the action. We've already gone over the Crane Gunners, but just for those who missed it, basically 2k value on them. The other Jade Lancers, 450 and 790 gold value. And I just like these chevroned up Jade Warriors to move in and just secure objectives in the mid to late game. They're quite tanky with these chevrons up. They almost become like Longbeards, and trust me, Longbeards, I think Dwarves in general could be really scary in this format. Once they got to objectives, getting them off is going to be a pain in the butt. I saw my opponent really interested in the starting build, 680 value and 124 kills on the Herald of Khorne. Decent Lord, seen him used quite a bit due to his cost effectiveness and relatively cheap start out kit. Soul Grinders, 140 and 98 kills with 1,000 and 1,145 damage value. I believe one of them was summoned in twice, the other one lasted the test of time. The Cultists of Khorne, they have that summon, but after it goes, they don't do that much. 430 and 370 value on them. 69 kills, though, so maybe that was a secret Slanesh agent. I guess we'll find out in the future. Minotaurs of Khorne didn't do too much. 0, 0, 0. Chaos Warriors of Khorne Halberds did pretty decent, though. 820, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, just going up and up there value-wise. Of course, dueling with the Terracotta Sentinels. Decent kills as well. 112 and 71 being the standouts. And a lot of the other infantry didn't really get too much time to shine. I'd like to have seen the Bloodletters come in to deal with those Jade Warriors really quickly and effectively. Flesh Hounds of Khorne, 86, 84, and 71 kills with 1.2k, 1.1k, and 600 value apiece. The Warhounds faring much worse than their fleshy brethren. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a good fun cast. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.